Hey everyone, long time no see. Hey everyone, welcome. I hope everything's okay with the settings. I'm just going to mute for a second and double check. Okay, we're all good. Hey everyone! So my name's Bridget and I cover all things true crime. This is sort of true crime, but it is animal abuse, and so there will be a trigger warning for this. I'm going to try and do this in a more education-based live. For anyone who doesn't know, I actually volunteer for a rabbit rescue, so I actually have quite a lot of knowledge on rabbits. You can see on the left hand of my screen my bunnies. Up the top there is Huxley, followed by Daisy. And then I have Artie I call him, and Sassy down the bottom. I rescued Huxley myself, and Artie and Sassy came to me through the rescue that I currently volunteer for. So I'm going to discuss the charges against Jaime Kimbrough and my perspective and side of things. Just want to say hello to everyone who's in the chat. I've missed all of your lovely faces, or your lovely text, I should say. I'm going to try and do this in a way that's not too triggering for people, but I want to educate at the same time. So I would love if you would share this out. I think this is going to be important because rabbits are a very misunderstood creature, and I'd like to get information out there. I want to also talk about the importance of rescuing rabbits and not buying from breeders as well, because that comes into effect in this case. So the reason I found out about this is because someone let me know that someone who this individual used to be or is on YouTube. So I had a little look into it. I would really love to find the affidavit for it, but I haven't been able to find it. So a big hello to Jack's mum, Emily, Catlin, Pickle, anyone who's listening to the replay as well. Okay, so this happened in Omaha in America. Let me pull up an article. I just have to remember how to do that. Because I haven't done a live in a long time. Why I haven't done a live is because I've been busy with bunnies. Oh gosh, boy, I can't remember how to do this. Let's see if I can remember. How has everyone been? I hope everyone's been well. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Here we go. Sorry, guys. Copy, paste. I should have done this beforehand. Sorry. Okay, so Omaha woman charged over dozens of dead animals in her home. It was basically rabbits. Hey, Nancy Drew. I've been okay. I'm not feeling great today. I was vaccinated yesterday, so I don't feel so great. But I've just been so busy with bunnies, helping to adopt out bunnies. So far this month, I've managed to adopt out 50, which is lovely. Okay, so let's have a little look. I'm going to pause whilst I read this quite often. Oh, it's not actually working. Oh, this is so frustrating. Let me see if there's something else I've done. Display capture. I did the wrong one, that's why. Display capture. Okay, here we go. Which vax did I get? I was only allowed to get Pfizer. In Australia, we only have Pfizer or AstraZeneca. Okay, well, this isn't going to work, so let's... Okay, I'm just going to read it to you guys, because I don't know why it's not working. Okay, an Omaha woman has been charged with felony counts after dozens of dead animals were found in her home, rendered uninhabitable by filth, waste, and rotting animal carcasses. The Nebraska Humane Society said in court that the discovery was made last month in the home of 47-year-old Jaime Kimbrough. In a 7-page affidavit, a Humane Society officer details visits to Kimbrough's home after several days in August following a complaint about rabbit hoarding. So I actually have dealt with rabbit hoarding, and very recently. I've got to be careful what I say. It is a very, very serious issue, and when it comes to people like that, they are very mentally ill, and they need to be completely wiped out of the animal that they're hoarding. So this person should never have a rabbit. Various officers described speaking with Kimbrough, who they described as physically disabled, and said she crawled out of the house on her belly and appeared to have feces smeared on her clothing and bare feet. She denied having any rabbits and falsely told officers that her 2 dogs had been vaccinated, according to the affidavit. So you will find that a lot of hoarders are obviously living in really bad conditions, and often deny that there is a problem. They don't actually believe that there's a problem. How much do you see rabbit hoarding? A lot. The case that I'm dealing with is a really, really bad one. We do see it a lot. In the last month, we've had 2 hoarding instances. One of the bunnies that came into care came in with a litter of 4 babies, and I sort of estimated they were about 10 days old because their eyes were open. And unfortunately, when the babies were about a month old, the mother rabbit actually gave birth to another litter because she'd gotten pregnant right after giving birth to the first litter. So it was actually really heartbreaking, because then she couldn't feed both litters, and the first litter had to be weaned from being fed from their mother, which was not ideal at all. Do we know who tipped off her hoarding? Apparently a breeder, and I've got a lot to say about that. The garage floor was covered in a solid mass of rabbit feces, in places more than a foot deep, according to the affidavit. So rabbits do poop quite a lot. They are animals that have to constantly be eating because their gut moves constantly. If their gut was to stop, it means they've gone into gut stasis. It's very, very painful, and it actually will lead to death. So rabbits need to be constantly eating, and that's why they poop so much. The animal officer said most of the rabbit carcasses were found decaying inside rabbit food bags. The officers said investigators found 38 rabbit carcasses dumped from some feed bags in the garage. Officers found another 6 feed bags with more rabbit carcasses, but there were too many to count. So when it comes to rabbits, if they stop eating, they can actually die within 12 hours. Daisy has been in stasis before, not from a lack of eating. She got spooked and went into shock and almost died, and then she went into stasis. Stasis is such a scary and easy thing for a rabbit to go into. When it comes to, so if a rabbit wasn't to be given food at all, that rabbit could die quite quickly. They also need to be eating a lot of hay for their teeth. So a lot of those rabbits probably had severe dental issues. Rabbits' teeth are constantly growing, and if they're not, the hay helps them to file it down naturally, and if not, they end up with lots of bird teeth. It'll cut up their tongues. It will create dental disease. They'll have a completely infected mouth. So the rabbit's food is like incredibly vital that they're fed. When asked about dead animals, Kimbrough insisted she had been set up and that other people had placed the animals in her home. The officer said, that makes a lot of sense to me. They're always in denial. She also told me that she chose to snap the necks of rabbits when she couldn't care for them anymore. Now, I know that this is probably very triggering for a lot of people, but this is just a fact that happens with hoarders and breeders as well. They refuse to pay for their rabbits to be euthanized. They don't see the value in a rabbit. Rabbits aren't respected as much as, say, a cat or dog are in society. And so it is common, sadly, for hoarders and breeders to do this when they need and they don't want the animal anymore. We have in the past, we quite often take in bunnies that have been surrendered to vets, and it's because the people refuse to pay for vet work that the bunny needs, or refuse to pay for the rabbit being put to sleep. So then we take them in. So unfortunately, it is something that's quite common. So Kimbrough was charged earlier this month with 2 counts of felony animal neglect resulting in death. An arrest warrant was issued last week, and her bail was set at $20,000 on Friday. That's actually quite positive that $20,000 was set for a bail, and it's really great that she was actually charged, because it's often something that isn't dealt with. We this year alone have had about 1,000 bunnies surrendered to us. We often take in bunnies that have been found in parks. A lot of people will dump rabbits in parks in a cage without any food or water. And being in Australia, out in the sun, bunnies are very, very susceptible to heat, and being outside in summer in Australia would kill them, to be perfectly honest. So there's another article I want to read. This one has more information. Omaha woman charged after authorities find 45 dead animals. An Omaha woman has been charged with felony counts after dozens of dead animals were found in a home, rendered unlivable by filth, waste, and rotting animal carcasses. The discovery was made last month, so in August. So she was charged with 2 counts. 2 dogs and 8 rabbits were found alive but suffering from neglect. So let's have a little chat about those 8 rabbits that were found alive. Those 8 rabbits probably were covered in scabs, could possibly have had no ears or parts of their ears removed from fighting. Rabbits who aren't desexed, so spayed or neutered, they will, because of them being such hormonal little creatures, they will often fight each other. Whenever we take in hoarding cases, we find a lot of the bunnies are missing ears and things like this. In July, we took in 14 rabbits from a hoarder, and most of them had damage to their ears. In fact, one of them's at the vet today, and the vet commented on the fact that the ears were so badly damaged. And actually, one of my rabbits, Sassy, has a little bit of his ear missing, just a tiny bit, that you can't really notice. Hey, Mercedes girl. So that is very common as well. The saying breeding like rabbits is true. Female rabbits can give birth immediately. After they give birth, they can immediately get pregnant. So they're pregnant for their gestation is a month as well, so they can just continually breed and have babies after babies. I'm sure that they didn't find any babies because they were probably killed. I mean, the dogs could have even killed them, to be perfectly honest. So 2 of those rabbits from the 8 had to be euthanized, and they were probably in severely bad health. And I think there's one more article I wanted to go over. So I guess what I want to talk about, and the reason I wanted to go live, is I wanted to use this as a teaching moment to explain that rabbits are such misunderstood creatures who are prey animals and really need us to fight for them and to give them a voice, because they really don't have one. They're one of the most surrendered and dumped animals, but they don't have that respect, like I said, about cats and dogs. Hey CCC, hey nobody special. The other thing is that the breeding situation with rabbits is just absolutely horrendous, and when people are breeding rabbits, they're often breeding or inbreeding or breeding rabbits that have like flatter faces, you'll see. So if you have a look on my screen, you'll see, let me remove this. Up the top there, you'll see Huxley and Daisy, and down the bottom Sassy. They have flatter faces and they have lopped ears. You'll see that Artie, the third bunny down, has a longer face and up ears. Rabbits have been bred to lop their ears. It's not naturally occurring in nature. They've also been bred to have a flatter face because people think that that's cuter. Hey Riley, the fact is that with having that flatter face and having ears that lop down, they are susceptible to a lot of facial issues, including severe dental issues, because their jaw has been bred to be sort of smaller, chronic ear infections, severe ear infections, breathing issues as well. Poor Sassy, whenever he gets excited, his breathing is quite... You can hear him breathe. You can hear Huxley breathe during the night as well. So lops, everyone wants lops, but they don't understand that there's a lot of issues that arise because of them. Next month, actually, I'm taking all of them to have dental checkups because apparently Huxley up the top there, he has some slight burring, so he may need to be put under anaesthetic and have his teeth filed down. Artie, who's the third from the bottom, he's my oldest, he's 10, and he has severe dental disease, which isn't associated with the fact that he's an up-eared bunny, and so I actually have to give him injections every day for that as well. Bunnies are also considered an exotic animal, and you cannot just take them to any vet. You have to take them to a vet that understands them because they're so complex. They're such complex and fragile little beings as well. I can't imagine how many of these animals, these rabbits that were with this woman, were severely injured as well. Bunnies can jump from, say, a bed and break their foot, or even their jaw if they land funny, which needs extensive surgery as well. All right, let's read this article because this is the one that I wanted to read the most. So Friday, a judge set bond for 47-year-old Jaime Kimbrough. She faces 2 felony counts of animal neglect. A case that started as a tip to the Humane Society uncovered a horrific scene inside of an Omaha home. Inside, 38 dead rabbits, 2 dead parakeets, 2 dogs, and 8 live rabbits. Another 5 dead rabbits at another property, also connected to Jaime Kimbrough. Okay, so I wanted to make a point of this. A lot of rabbit hoarders also will keep bunnies on different properties so that they aren't found out about. I have dealt with this personally and seen it. They try and hide the rabbits so that they aren't taken away from them. You didn't know the difference in breeding with ears? Yeah, it's true. So we recently took in a bunny. We've taken in a couple of bunnies this year actually who have had severe dental issues, and their incisors, their front teeth, are actually really overgrown, and it's due to their genetics because they've been bred to have such a flat face, and they actually end up having to have their front teeth removed because they can't be saved because they'll always grow incorrectly purely from the way that they were bred, and breeders really don't care about this at all. This article says, when we first opened the door, it actually took our breath away and burnt our nostrils and our lungs. It was extremely filthy. Animals are running around and couldn't escape the waste, and deceased animals are still on the property as well. I have dealt with, as I said, animal hoarding, and a lot of the times they don't do anything with, unfortunately, the bodies of the bunnies. We had a case where we had volunteers out rescuing bunnies, and they were just seeing dead bunnies everywhere as they were trying to save the ones that they could. Field Director Ronald Schlabs was one of the many people on scene on August 19th when they got a search warrant and made the gruesome discoveries. He said in some places there were piles of feces at least a foot deep. All where the animals were living. And these living conditions, quite frankly, couldn't be much worse, so it's absolutely horrible to see, Schlabb said. Court documents reveal that when officers entered the garage where they found the rabbits, they immediately noticed a height difference due to the garage floor being entirely covered in rabbit feces. So that's really interesting because it means obviously they were being fed something. It says below, according to court documents, they were able to find rabbit food bags filled with dead rabbits. That's when they found all 38. So I would say whatever rabbits, those 6 rabbits that are left, will probably have severe dental disease and have a lot of teeth issues because they probably weren't given any hay at all. Hey, Morgan! They found another 6 bags full of decaying rabbits, but there were too many to count. The other thing that was more unusual and a little more upsetting was the sheer number of deceased animals that were still kept on the property and not taken care of. That's very common in hoarding, unfortunately. No, I will never understand leaving the corpses around, but they are so mentally ill that they don't really understand. I mean, I've spoken to someone who was a known hoarder, and she would discuss there being like limbs around from the rabbits fighting, and cats getting to the rabbits as well. So they don't really care. I don't think it's that they don't care. They're just that mentally unwell that they can't wrap their head around what they're seeing. And then it says, this is not any way for any creature to live, Schlabb says. The Nebraska Humane Society wants to encourage people to report things like this if you suspect something is going on. And so on that point, if you do hear of any animals that are being neglected or abused, I strongly encourage you to reach out to your local authorities with evidence and proof of it. It's really important that someone did reach out about this. There was another article that I need to have a look at. I will see if I can find it, that had information about a breeder actually giving the tip off, because I wanted to talk a little bit about breeders. And look, I understand that Jaime is disabled. As someone who is chronically ill, I understand that. Rabbits are an animal that aren't easy. They're a lot. I personally think that they are a lot more work than a cat or a dog. They do make a lot of mess, and so you do need to clean up after them a lot. I mean, I will clean my 2 bunnies in the lounge room's pens and then my rabbit room, and within half a day it's a mess again, just because they can just be quite messy. But if you cannot look after a rabbit correctly, you should not have a rabbit, flat out. Okay, so this is the article I wanted to read. An Omaha woman has been charged with 2 counts of felony animal abuse and neglect related to the discovery of dozens of dead animals in her home. What began with reports that 47-year-old Jaime Kimbrough was hoarding rabbits in her West Omaha garage led to the discovery of squalid living conditions and 45 dead animals. Kimbrough, who was described by a witness in an affidavit as severely disabled, was first contacted by officers with the Nebraska Humane Society on August 10th. At the time, Kimbrough denied owning any rabbits and claimed that her 2 dogs, which could be seen by an officer, were vaccinated and licensed by her father's veterinary clinic in Grand Island, according to the affidavit. Discussing vaccinations as well. Rabbits can be vaccinated and should be vaccinated. Here in Australia, we have 1 vaccination available. Unfortunately, at the moment, it's actually out of stock Australia-wide. My rabbits are up to date, so that's good. hopefully we have it back in a couple of months. In America, you can get more vaccinations than you can in Australia. There are a lot of rabbit viruses that will kill rabbits, myxomatosis and the Khaleesi virus being two of them. So you do need to vaccinate rabbits. It needs to be done 6 monthly or yearly. That's a personal preference of what you prefer to do. So I am sure that none of these animals were vaccinated. None of these rabbits were vaccinated. And if any of those were to get one of the viruses, they're horrific to die by. Horrific. So that's just horrible. After a call to the clinic, a Humane Society investigator found that the dogs weren't licensed or vaccinated and that Kimbrough's father was retired from the clinic and living out of state, she wrote in the affidavit. So she was lying about the dogs being vaccinated and licensed. I became very concerned for the condition of Jaime's hygiene and general care, so I contacted the Department of Health and Human Services, Neglected and Vulnerable Adult Division, the investigator wrote. The investigators were contacted August 16th by a woman who breeds and shows rabbits. The woman said she had been friends with Kimbrough for several years. The woman said Kimbrough had convinced her to drop off a female rabbit that was no longer breeding so Kimbrough could provide free veterinary fertility testing. Just a heads up, never heard of fertility testing in a rabbit. Just never have heard of that, ever. And I have a big problem with breeders, as you can imagine, because we end up with a lot of their rabbits. If a rabbit isn't producing babies, then apparently they don't have any worth to some breeders, which is just so annoying. I'm trying to hold my tongue. All of my thoughts and opinions are my own, by the way. The woman planned to drop off her rabbit with Kimbrough for a few days, but wouldn't see it again for almost a month. During that time, Kimbrough said she would return the rabbit only if the woman agreed to sell her more rabbits. So apparently what she had wasn't enough. So that's a typical hoarder. The woman eventually threatened to call police, and a mutual friend agreed to pick up the rabbit and return her to the woman, according to the affidavit. The rabbit's condition was described in the affidavit as skin and bones, emaciated with feces and urine on her paws and extremely bad odour coming from her. The rabbit died a few days later. So that's just disgusting. It's just disgusting. A search warrant was executed at Kimbrough's home August 19th. Investigators described a garage with solid rabbit waste several inches high, with a basement with abundant dog feces and mould. 2 bird cages were in a bedroom with 2 bird skeletons inside. 38 dead rabbits were found in the garage, and 5 more dead rabbits were found at a second location owned by Kimbrough, according to the affidavit. I mean, rabbits do poop a lot. But to have rabbit waste several inches high is just insane. It's just insane. A Humane Society officer wrote in the affidavit that Kimbrough told her that she would snap the necks of rabbits when she couldn't care for them anymore. I can't remember if I mentioned this, but this is actually something that is done by people who refuse to pay for euthanasia. She told me that it was legal for her to do so because she had a veterinary license. Well, that's a no. That's a no from me. That's a no. No proof of a veterinary license could be found, and in having so much deep respect for vets and working with them so often, I know that no actual vet would put an animal down just because it couldn't be cared for anymore. That's what places like rabbit rescues are for, is to help when you cannot care for an animal, to take that animal in and to nurture that animal and rehabilitate that animal if need be, vet work the animal, and then to rehome the animal. Vets do not kill bunnies by snapping their necks just because they can't be cared for anymore. And to anyone, it's just ludicrous. And apparently Kimbrough can't be reached for comment. You feel sick? I know. I'm containing myself. Unfortunately, it's something that we deal with, or I deal with every day. So it's just so extremely frustrating. So how can you help someone who's watching this video, listening to this video, and wants to help in some way? Don't ever buy an animal off of Gumtree, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Don't put your money into breeders. I'm just going to say that. Don't. If you want to help, you can adopt a bunny or an animal from a rescue, where there's a whole bunch of reasons for it. For one, you'll actually get an animal that has been completely vet worked, so you know that the animal's in good health. It will have been spayed or neutered, vaccinated, hopefully microchipped as well. Another way you can help is to foster. Find out if you have a local bunny rescue that is in need of a foster carer. Especially this time of the year, we're about to go into the holidays, which means that a lot of bunnies will be surrendered. December from November, but December is just an epidemic. We are also seeing record numbers at the moment because of COVID lockdowns. Everyone bought pets during COVID, and they bought them from Craigslist, Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace. Then they go back to work and they realize they don't have time for them anymore, so they either surrender them or they dump them somewhere. A lot of people don't understand that you cannot dump a domestic rabbit into a park and expect them to survive. It just doesn't happen. They can't do it. You're leading them to a certain death unless they're found by someone. So fostering is another really, really great way to help. Another way to help is to donate. Donate to a local rabbit rescue if you can. I know that I think Erin has been and Mercedes Girl have been putting the link to the rescue that I volunteer under. We have a YouTube channel, and we're trying to get our watch hours up so that we can monetize the channel, and then that way we can use the money back into the rescue. You can also donate to any rabbit rescue, but if you feel inclined to, you can donate to the rabbit rescue that I volunteer for. We desperately need the help. This year we have seen so many bunnies with health problems, and a lot of that is because of poor breeding, and so it's just a constant cycle. Put the link again, please. Can someone pop the link to the Rabbit Sanctuary's YouTube channel, please? So we have, how many, let me have a look at some of our stats. We've had over 1,000 bunnies surrendered to us this year. It's just crazy. And here in Australia, I'm in lockdown. The Delta variant of COVID has just absolutely destroyed Australia, especially New South Wales, where I live, the state that I live in. And, we have seen so many rabbits that have been dumped or surrendered, and a lot of sick rabbits. So if you find it in your heart at all to help, you can help in so many ways. You can adopt, you can donate, you can foster. Fostering honestly really does help quite a lot, because it means that rescues can take in more bunnies and help more bunnies, or any animal really. But that's something that I'd love for you to be mindful of. The other thing is to share on social media. Share the work that rescues are doing. Share their posts and help them to get their name out there and to find people to help. A lot of people also don't know that they can surrender their rabbits, and so they just dump them. So education needs to be mentioned as well. As I said, cats and dogs are a more known pet, and a lot of people don't understand the needs of a rabbit. A rabbit should not be left in a cage outside. Rabbits are very susceptible to lots of viruses, as I said, as well as weather conditions and predators, because they are a prey animal. We adopt our bunnies to indoor homes, and they make really amazing indoor pets. They have great personalities. They can actually learn tricks. You can teach them to tap a bell when they want food. You can teach them to spin. They come to their names. They're incredible little creatures, and I just wanted to use this horrific situation to discuss something that I'm really, really passionate about, and to make it a teachable moment. Hey Aussie Trisha, when you hear this, rabbits are so smart, Morgan. They're incredibly smart. My rabbits know the routine, the daily routine down pat. So every morning I have to pick up Artie in his enclosure to give him his antibiotics, injections and oral antibiotics. As soon as I get to the pen door, he thumps his foot because he's displeased with me, and then proceeds to try and weasel his way out of getting picked up. They're really intelligent. I like to think of them as like a good mix between a cat and a dog. They're independent and they love to nap, but they also can learn tricks and are really, really, really social. Very social beings. They ideally need to be in a pair, a male and a female. So yeah, I just wanted to pop on and talk about this and try and bring some awareness and my thoughts and opinions on this matter to light. In terms of in the future for videos, I'm working on a couple of videos. It just happens. I just need to sort of work out a system that allows me to put more videos out there in a more timely manner, because I adore doing true crime videos. It's just that I've been so busy with the bunnies, and I think you can understand why I'm so passionate about them and why I love them. I mean, my bunnies, look how cute my bunnies are. We've also had we've got 68 babies in care right now, to be perfectly honest with you. We have so many bunnies and so many babies, so many adorable babies. And so I've just been really busy with that. So I hope you understand why I haven't been around. But I will try and come live a little bit more often. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I hope to hear from you guys soon. Thank you so much for tuning in to the live. Thank you if you're listening on the restream. Let me know in the comments when this video goes up how you're doing, what's going on, and how you can help. Let me know if you find a way that you'd like to help with the rabbits, because they need all the help that they can get right now, to be perfectly honest. So I'm going to head out. Thank you so much. And I will see you soon, I promise. I hope everyone has a lovely day or night wherever they are. And bye for now.